Grab your mat and join me for yoga to improve poor posture. This class will decompress your spine, release tension in the shoulders, and align your posture. Hello and welcome to Asana with Jess. We're going to start in our Sukhasana, our easy pose, looking down or closing our eyes. Breathing deeply into the diaphragm and exhaling. We're now going to shift onto all fours in a tabletop position. Inhaling, dropping the spine looking forward. Exhaling, rounding the back and tucking the chin in. Inhale, dipping the spine. And exhale, arching the back. Continuing with this cat and cow motion for a few more breaths. Round the spine one last time and arch the back. Now push back into a child's pose. Curve the spine and vertebrae by vertebrae roll through to cobra. Arching the back, lifting with the hips first, pushing back into child's pose. Rolling the back through to cobra again, looking up and dipping the spine, leading with the hips, pushing back into child's pose. Repeat this movement. This is a variation of cat and cow pose. Imagine it as a wave-like motion, flowing through into cobra and flowing back into child's pose. Taking one last movement here, and when you're in cobra, stay here a moment and lower your chest to the mat, bringing your hands out to your sides, pressing your fingertips into the mat. Inhale, and on the exhale, push your chest up and release. Repeat this, pushing the chest up away from the mat and release. Repeating this movement, gently stretching the lower back. Take one more cobra stretch. Using your hands, push your way back into a child's pose. Slowly lift yourself up into a kneeling position. Tuck the toes under for a deep toe stretch. Bring your arms out wide, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Inhale deeply, and on the exhale, swoop your hands in front of you, curving the spine. Inhale, drawing the shoulder blades together. Exhale, swoop the hands in front. Inhaling, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and exhaling, curving the spine. Repeating this movement. Taking one more here. Planting your hands down and untucking the toes for tabletop position. Tuck the toes under, inhale, and on the exhale, lift the knees off the mat, engaging the core, warming up the legs. And release, untuck the toes. Inhale, tuck the toes under, and lift the knees off the mat again. Exhale and release. Inhale one last time, tuck the toes under, lift the knees, and this time push your hips to the sky and untuck the toes for downward dog, bending one knee at a time, pedaling the feet out, warming up the legs. Now press both heels towards the mat and lower your sternum towards the ground, deepening your downward dog. Breathing deep into this asana, grounding yourself, getting ready for the next pose. Inhale, and on this next exhale, roll vertebrae by vertebrae through to plank. Take a breath here, and on the exhale, leading with your hips, push back into downward dog. Rolling the back through to plank, taking a moment and leading with the hips, downward dog. Imagining a wave-like motion rolling through into plank and pushing back, downward dog. Take this once more. Keeping your hands planted on the mat, take 6 to 8 small steps towards your hands, coming into a forward fold at the top of your mat. Place your hands on opposite elbows and take some rocks from side to side, decompressing the spine, loosening up the vertebrae, providing a deep stretch all throughout the back. And releasing your hands. Inhale, coming up to halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend at the knees, bringing the hands into the sky for mountain pose, Tadasana, and down to heart center. Taking a few breaths here to reset. Take a deep breath in, and on the exhale, bring the hands to the sky and come into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands on your mat and step back 1 foot at a time, coming into plank. Taking your chaturanga either on your knees or on your toes, untucking the feet, upward facing dog. Inhale, and on the exhale, push the hips to the sky, but don't untuck the toes. And release back into upward facing dog. Repeating this movement, pushing the hips to the sky, but not untucking the toes, and releasing upward facing dog. Inhale, and on the exhale, push the hips into the sky and untuck the toes for a downward dog. Pressing the heels towards the mat. Focusing on your prana, your breath, and lifting the right foot into the sky for three-legged dog. Taking a moment here to stretch that right leg out, but making sure your hips are still parallel to the mat. We don't want you turning outwards. Feeling that stretch deep into the legs. And now bending that right knee, opening up the hips, balancing here, keeping your gaze towards the mat. Breathe in, and on the exhale, lower your knee towards your chest, engaging your core. Tap your knee onto the mat in front of you. Tap it to the left, tapping the knee to the center, tapping the knee to the right, tapping it back in the center, and then pushing it back up into three-legged dog. We're trying to actively strengthen the core because that will help to protect your back. Bend at the knee again, tucking it into the chest, and this time placing it on your mat. Untucking your left toes, coming down into our pigeon pose. Doesn't matter the angle that your right leg is on, as long as that knee is bent and you are comfortable. You can stay on your hands if you like, but if you want to go a bit deeper, you can come down to your elbows. Breathing deeply into this pose, and with every exhale, reducing that gap between your hips and the mat. Poor posture stems all throughout the back and usually starts in the lower back and hips, so it's important to release these tight hips. If you had your eyes closed, gently open them and get ready to come out of this pose. If you're on your elbows, come back up to your hands. And from here, tuck the left toes under and kick the right foot back into downward dog. Now take a vinyasa to reset, coming into plank, taking your chaturanga, upward facing dog, and release into downward dog. We're going to repeat this on the other side now, so lifting the left foot into three-legged dog and taking a moment here. Really stretching that leg out, but remembering not to turn the hips out, keeping them parallel to the mat. And bending that left knee, turning the hips outward, opening them up. And when you're ready, tucking that knee into the chest, engaging the core, tapping the knee down in front of you. Now tap it to the left, tap it to the center again, tap it to the right, and the center once more, and push it back up into three-legged dog. Bend the knee again, tucking it into the chest, and this time placing it down on your mat, untucking the right toes and coming into our pigeon pose. Remembering you can stay upright on your hands, or you can take it a step further by coming down to your elbows. Remembering to breathe deeply, embracing the stretch of this asana. If you had your eyes closed, you can open them now, awakening your body. And if you are on your elbows, you can slowly make your way up to your hands. And when you're ready, tucking the right toes under and kicking the left foot back into downward dog. Taking a step forward, low lunge, followed by the other foot coming into a forward fold. Once again, holding onto opposite elbows with your hands and taking some rocks from side to side. And releasing your hands to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, exhale, fold, bending at the knees, bringing the hands into the sky, our mountain pose, Tadasana, and down to heart center. Inhaling, drawing the hands up to the sky, exhaling, taking a mini back bend. Drawing the hands towards the chest, taking a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, exhale, fold, bending at the knees, either stepping or jumping back into plank and taking your chaturanga. Upward facing dog and downward dog. Now jump into a cross-legged position at the top of your mat. Elongate your legs out in front of you and slowly lower your back to the earth. Keeping your feet hip width apart and making sure you can touch your heels with your hands. Inhale, and on the exhale, lift your hips off the ground, coming into a hip bridge. Making sure your neck is not tightening up and you're lengthening it out. If you want to deepen this pose, you can place your hands underneath your hips. This just pushes them up that little bit higher. Feeling that deep release in the lower back. Feel free to stay in this version of a hip bridge, but if you are more of an intermediate level yogi or you're wanting a challenge, you can take a wheel pose, just as I'm showing here. Now in the top right corner, I will have a link to my video on how to do a wheel pose. Now remember, if this is out of your reach, just stay in that original version of the hip bridge. Whichever version you are in, when you are ready, release your hips to the mat. And tuck the knees into the chest, hugging them in with your hands and tucking your head towards them. This is optional, but you can take some rocks from side to side to massage the spine, but only if this feels good for you. Returning to center and lowering your head to the mat. Extend your legs out into the sky and come up onto your elbows. This is a supported boat pose. We're going to work on a little bit more core strengthening. You can come up to your fingertips if you like, and if you want to make this a little bit harder, you can do it unsupported with your hands out in front of you. This is another version as well, slightly easier, just tucking the knees in. I'm going to choose the supported boat pose version. Hold this here for a few more breaths. And releasing your feet to the mat. We're going to take one last pose today. It's a nice restorative pose. Coming onto your knees, making sure there is enough room behind you. Lower yourself down to your elbows. You can separate the knees a little bit to make this easier, and you can stay here just on your elbows, but if you do want to make this a little bit deeper, you can come all the way down onto your back and bring your arms over the top of your head. Breathing deeply, inhaling through the nose, holding, and exhaling through the mouth. Relaxing fully into this pose. Now opening your eyes and bringing your hands to your sides. Awaken your body and slowly come up to your elbows if you were all the way down, and make your way up into a kneeling position. Take a moment here to catch your breath, and we're going to take some neck stretches, tipping your head to the right. And very gently and slowly moving your head back to center, and now tipping it towards the left shoulder. Releasing that tension in the neck from poor posture. Often happens from looking down at your computer screen. Now returning your head to center, tucking your chin in towards your chest. Stretching the back of the neck. Returning your head to center, now tipping it all the way back, looking up behind you, stretching the front of the neck. And returning your head to center, taking some circles with your nose. We're going to swing one way, stop, and turn the other way, just releasing that tension a little bit further. Bringing your hands to your heart, thank you so much for practicing yoga with me today. I hope your posture feels a little bit better and your muscles are not so tight. Sending you love and light. Namaste. If you enjoyed this class, please subscribe to our channel so you can see more of our videos.